Aloha, this is Hope Johnson with Wisdom Dialogues coming to you from our home on the beautiful Big Island of Hawaii. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching if you're watching later or just listening. So hooray! Sativa has a question for me. Why is it that you choose to let go of a quality that you don't like about yourself? You still see it here and there in other people. Isn't everyone your reflection? Great one. Awesome. And her hand is up. I mean, she's going to talk with me too. Hooray. Aloha, Sativa.
Aloha, Hope. How are you?
So wonderfully fantastical. How are you?
Wonderful. You look radiant as usual.
Oh, mahalo.
Yeah.
So your question.
I'm a little I'm a little confused on it because there are certain people where I live, like in my eco village, and I see them. I'm like, oh wow, that's the person I used to be when I was like 16 or 17. So why is it that I still see those reflections of myself if I'm not like that anymore? You know? Does that make sense?
Well, okay. So all of the reflections that you see are reflections of your own mind, okay? So it's something, you know, that's an opinion that you are putting on the situation. It's an interpretation that you're making of the situation. Okay? Whatever you're making it out to be. You're putting meaning on it, making it mean something about you.
Well, isn't it something about you?
No.
Oh my.
When you whatever feeling sensation is coming up with you in you, when you're having a particular perception, that's for you.
Oh.
The stories aren't about you. The feeling sensation, that is a symbol that basically that there's judgment there, and it's obvious that
I see.
Tell by the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And then when you're seeing what the projections are, but you're not believing them, then you're also out of that dance with that person. That's kind of like holding them in a particular energy. Like
yeah, because I even noticed.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I noticed every time I start judging the energy or just the perceptions that I have of the other people, I start seeing more of it constantly.
Yes, exactly. Because it's basically like giving your mind instructions to go out and find that. And the mind doesn't really go out and find that. The mind makes it up.
Oh my God.
It makes up the situations to bring about that feeling, because obviously to you that feeling means something important.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's like making more of the same. So that's why it's like once you focus on something, you make a judgment, you focus on it, then you're going to see more and more of it.
Yeah.
Like certain people get cut off in traffic all the time because they notice it. They call it cut off in the first place. You know, like when I notice when I'm driving and someone gets in front of me, it's like, oh, someone got in front of me, and then if I'm driving with someone, it's like, oh, that means I slow down, right? It's like practical. Sometimes I'm driving with someone and they go, oh, I got cut off. It's just the way you take it. So if you take it like
Exactly.
that, like, oh, I got cut off, and especially if that guy's an asshole in your mind that cut you off, or woman or whatever, that brings
Hmm.
even more.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, is there any way to like stop a reaction from coming up? Because I notice my body first reacts every time I make a judgment and I feel all tense. And
Okay.
is
Okay.
there any way to like, because it's so
Well,
easy to go down like the rabbit hole, but it's so much more effort to like, come back to truth
okay.
in
Well,
my experience.
here's the key for that. It's
Hmm.
it's always an opportunity coming up. That reaction is always an opportunity coming up. So it's like you don't want it to not come up because it's there. It's there to come up. So when
Hmm.
it does come up for me, there's an excitement about it and a curiosity. It's kind of like, oh, to feel the
Hmm.
deeper dimensions of it instead of running with the mind about it in the story.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like for me, it's very well. There's a welcome experience when something comes up and my mind wants to project because there's a willingness to look at the projections. There's a willingness to see what's being projected.
Hmm.
When you see what's being projected, but you're not taken by the projection as in under its spell, you're under the spell of the projection, then that's where the root of it gets healed.
Wow.
That's where the
That takes
miracle is.
practice.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
If there
it
if there's
feels,
any if there's any discipline, that's the only self-discipline
yeah,
that's of any value.
exactly, exactly. So I've just noticed like in my own experience, I've been finding myself getting jealous more often and experiencing that pattern.
Okay.
And it's so easy for me to make the same like habitual choice
Yeah.
and like same reaction rather than choosing love and, you know, seeing through it,
Yeah.
seeing through the
Yeah.
illusion. It
Yeah.
feels
And so
kind of uncomfortable.
sure. Yes. I've experienced that many, 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 many times. It's okay. The main thing is that it's okay. Okay?
Hmm.
Because anything that's not okay in your mind is making more stuff that seems to be not okay.
Hmm.
Okay? And all it
Yeah.
is a feeling. All it is an upset feeling. And all that upset feeling needs is some compassion. And basically, awareness is compassion.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it is definitely a miracle. I've had quite a few moments just the past week where I asked God to help me see, like
Uh-huh.
through my perceptions. And every time I ask Him and I really do feel willing, He
Uh-huh.
always answers. And it's always, He answers like by easing my mind. And every
Exactly.
time I experience that, I'm just like, wow, dude, that is the miracle.
Yeah.
It's such a
That's it.
miracle to just feel at peace with something.
Exactly. Exactly. And all the thoughts are leading away from that.
Yeah.
All the stories are leading away from that.
Wow.
You
Thank
see
you,
the
Hope.
story about haven't I healed that already? Why am I still seeing it? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I I have that thought so many times. I'm like, oh, I thought I was over it, and then it's like, surprise.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that thought is an ego projection. So you just see that for what it is, that's all.
Okay.
Okay?
Wow,
Yay.
that's very helpful. Thank you.
Oh, good. Thank you too. Aloha.
Aloha.
I'm so grateful for the questions that come up. Thank you so much. I appreciate anything that is coming up for you right now that you would like to get clarity on, anything that you'd like to have reflection on. So welcome. Thank you so much. So in our recent in-person wisdom dialogues, what was coming up really strongly and what still would like to be shared is that we are not a doer. Okay? So many of the thoughts that are projected have to do with us being a doer or someone else being a doer, as in we have some kind of control over what these bodies do and say and even think. Okay? That's just a projection of the mind. It's actually coming from the unconscious. Everything that seems to be happening on the surface is coming from the unconscious. There's not individual doers. And there's no threat. As soon as we believe that there's any threat, and even believing any benefit, that there's any benefit, puts us in a position where we're vulnerable. Vulnerable to the ego, vulnerable to dis-ease. Okay? It's an energetic dis-ease. And that's what projects the whole world, is these energy bodies. We do have one choice in every instant. We have one choice and only one. And it's basically life or death. Life or death. Life, eternal life, that has no opposite. Or taking illusions to have power over us, which is death. Okay? Some examples are, this is good for you. This thing that I'm doing right now is good for me. Okay? There's a projection that's an identification with the doer. It's meaningless. But as soon as the mind attaches to it, it makes it into a burden. Okay? This thing that I'm doing is bad for me. Same. It's as if there's a choice between doing two things or doing multiple things. There's no choice right there. The choice is to see through the projection or buy into it. Every time we buy into a projection such as that, the ego gains energy. It needs to be fed. It has no life of its own because it's not even real. It takes energy from our believing to survive. That's why all day long thoughts come up about what we can do, what we should do, what we should have done, what we regret doing. Okay? The truth is we don't know. We don't know. But all of our doing, whatever it seems to be, whatever all of our apparent doing, can be done with love. And that's what makes it valuable. It doesn't matter what's happening. There could be, find your body laying down. It doesn't have to be doing anything. It's just that when we're not buying into the idea that we're an autonomous individual in a universe, those kinds of limitations are being dissolved. And it's not even just limitations, it's any sort of dis-ease. Okay? Including, you know, any kind of physical illness, accidents, aging, death even. These things aren't actually necessary, but they're re-believed all over and over again, constantly. Things just get blown up. Things easily get blown out of proportion that way. A minor discomfort, illness, when met with fear, multiplies. So how does that work on the in a practical way? Like if something comes up, some kind of ailment comes up, you're experiencing some kind of ailment in the body. So there's all kinds of projections coming out about that ailment. That's what I experience anyways. All kinds of different projections. It tries to go. It tries to go and multiply itself. Oh, what if it's this? What if it's this? What if it's this? How can I prevent it? How can I stop it from happening? All these kinds of projections, they'll just be seen and stop going anywhere. And it's so many times the thing was there, seemed to be there, and then just seeing through the projections, forgot about it. Just gone. Sometimes I'll think about it hours later or a day later and go, well, what was that? Sure, it's gone. Well, I know what it is. It's always a projection of the ego. It's always an attack. Okay? It's always an attack of the ego. So I know that those projections about it aren't true. And when those projections about it aren't true, there's nothing to hold it there. There's no reason why. There's no reason for it to be there. Because there's no dis-ease in love. Dis-ease isn't real. So it's not even like there's anything letting go of the dis-ease. It's just that it's seen that for the projections about it are untrue. When the projections about the dis-ease are untrue, then there's nothing to hold it. There's no reason for it. But if the projections are believed, then there's something to hold it. This applies to anything. This applies to scarcity. This applies to relationships. You know, if there's a belief in the projection that most whatever, men, women, whatever, are jerks, then that's how it goes. Or there's a belief in the projection, I can only attract jerks, then that's how it goes too. The projection comes out as a temptation, and it can tempt us to go down that path and make up more of what we're resisting against. Okay, because every single one of those projections, when followed, is resistance. Hi. Yay. We have peoples here. Love you. I love you too. That's my daughter, Kaya. So basically, when the projection is seen as a projection, then it's not being believed. Even if it seems like it's still real and it feels real. Sometimes it might say, I feel like I'm believing this because it feels so real. Yay. But even in that moment when it's feeling real, and there's that projection that it seems like I'm believing this because it's feeling real, that's arising in you, not to you. It's arising in you. And there's a willingness to see that those projections are only projections, having no meaning outside of what you make of them. Now, a lot of them are trying to protect the body. They seem like they're really good because they try to protect the body. Seems like it's a really good thought to have, thought to believe. Like it's like maybe, oh, I better not eat too many cookies or I could get a tummy ache. Yeah. It's a normal thing, quote unquote normal thing to tell your kids too. Don't eat too many cookies or you can get a tummy ache, right? No cookies or amount of cookies can cause a tummy ache. No cookie eating or lack of cookie eating can happen by choice. So, do you see how the whole thing just ties us into being a doer? Every day, all these little things that seem to be helpful because they're protecting the body. The body needs no protection at all. The body needs no protection because what beats the heart, what breathes the breath is life. Okay? What provides the food, what provides everything is life. Life itself. Illusions can't do anything to anyone. Just the idea that something can go wrong. You know, I've seen it. I've seen one example today, actually. You know, there is a fun family trip over to the grocery store, and we thought our young son who just got a permit was going to drive. But when he got in the car, he had some fearful thoughts come up that he believed, so he decided not to drive. And then as soon as we started driving down the road, he's like, oh, I should have driven. And, you know, I just reassured him it's okay, nothing's happening out of order, nothing's a problem. Nothing's a problem here. So it's like originally there's the fear, and then I don't want to drive. Okay. And then afterwards, there's the regret and the beating up of the cells. You see those different projections that come out? None of it is actually real. The main thing is right now I'm totally okay. All that's happening is sensations are being interpreted right now. That's all it is. All the stories that are made up about it, about what, oh, regret that I might have done something wrong, oh my God, I'm a puss, or whatever. These things aren't relevant. That's where the ego comes in. And if those different projections are believed, see, there's a feeling that comes along with I screwed up. There's a feeling that comes along with that. And if the projections about I screwed up are believed, like I'm going to do it better next time I'm going to, with my might, when I sit behind that wheel, then I'm going to drive. Okay? It's like these different projections are all identifying with the doer. And it's a resistance to this feeling that's coming up, this feeling of regret, this feeling of, oh, I should have done it different. And that resistance is also attracting it at the same time. So if it's gone unnoticed, automatically the mind is going to set up more situations to experience that same kind of feeling again. And that's how it goes on and on and on, with more situations where we're basically made to play out this pattern so that we can get that feeling again. It's a real unconscious delusional game that's being played. So when we see it as at its source, which is, you know, where that feeling is arising from, we see it right there, then it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't keep on working itself into a problem with thought. Basically, every problem is built out of thought. Every problem doesn't exist because the thought that made it doesn't exist. And with ego identifying itself as self, it's always making up problems. It's always making up something to be fixed. Because when that feeling of a problem comes up and then it's projected outward, the original delusion that made the problem just keeps on proliferating because we're getting distracted on the surface projections. But if we're not getting distracted by a projection that says, why did you do that? I'm going to do that better next time. If we're not getting distracted by them, by just seeing that they're projections and they have no meaning, the mind is at ease. You can sense that the mind ends up being allowed to be at ease just by seeing these projections because they can't go forward. They can't just keep on going forward with the thoughts. Okay? So if anyone would like to speak with me now, please raise your hand or write in a question. Scott, hooray. Aloha, Scott.
Hi, Hope. Actually, this is Holly.
Aloha, Holly.
Hello, how are you tonight?
Fantastic. How are you?
Good. Even better that I get a chance to talk about an experience I had with you. I've been wanting to share with you. I had a couple weeks ago, and
okay.
A lot of what you've been saying this evening really relates to that. So this is a good segue for me.
Nice.
So a couple weeks ago, I had an experience where I tried a cannabis cookie, a piece of a cannabis cookie. I never did it before, and I did it with a friend, and with the expectations, actually no expectations, just thinking, okay, it's going to be a real peaceful evening, we're going to have fun, just relax. And the first hour and a half was okay, you know, we started to feel a little giggly, and then after that, things went sour really quick.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't going to elaborate on it, but it just all of a sudden I couldn't talk. I couldn't move my hands. It was just terrible.
Okay.
Ended up in the ER. It was awful experience. Awful experience. But in the hours after that, once we got home, all of a sudden I felt a peace that I have never felt in my life before. It was absolutely amazing, and I was able to just be in the moment, and I didn't have all these thoughts which I usually have racing through my head. I feel like 24/7. They were almost gone, and probably 3 or 4 days after that, I felt like I'm coming back to me again, so to speak, and that was gone. So I had talked to Lori about it, my friend Lori, and she said, you know, just because I'm craving that peace again, I want it back, it's already there within me, but my question to you is, how do I get there again without eating the cannabis cookie?
Well, that's really what I'm speaking to right now with these projections, these ego projections. So you say the thoughts mellowed out, so you weren't having as many of those projections that you're normally dealing with every day.
Right.
And so that's what's burdening. That's what's a burden. That's what tires us out. That's exactly what ages and makes disease and everything is believing in these projections. And because of believing in them, they seem to be a lot more. You know, yeah, I mean, that's the only thing. That's the only thing that's going on. I mean, cannabis or not, when a thought projection comes up and identifies you as a doer and you see it, some of that gets dissolved.
Okay. So
yeah.
do I give it space, because I talked to Lori about this in great detail, and
Okay.
I have a history of panic and anxiety, and I feel like it's got a hold of me, and I'm trying to just give it space and look at it and just be with it, but it just feels more like it has a grasp on me. And the harder I feel like I just keep trying harder and harder, and so maybe in doing that, that's sort of like the catalyst to manifest even more. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, when you're trying to push something away, like if you sense anxiety or fear coming up, you know, that's always a sign of believing something about yourself that's not true.
Okay.
So if you take it like that, and you recognize it like that, at least for me, it gave me the courage to feel whatever it was that was coming up, and to recognize any projection as a projection. And in that space, that's where healing happens. And you could tell when healing happens because a sense of peace comes over your mind.
And that's the sense of peace I haven't had since the cookie incident. It was like I'm trying to just, and I guess just by me telling you I'm trying, that's just saying that I'm working too hard. I just need to be that space. Okay.
Yeah, that's the doer again. So see, that's a distraction too. What's saying I'm trying is saying that the healing isn't already here, and there's an I that's trying. So when you see that projection, and now we talked about it, you'll probably be able to see it real clearly when it comes up, you know, and you'll just notice that it's a projection and it won't have any power over you. Just by not noticing that it's a projection you're giving it power over you, apparent power over you, which could be withdrawn in any second.
Okay. Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello. It's so nice to speak with you, Holly.
You too. Thank you so much, Hope.
Okay. Aloha.
Aloha.
Yeah, that one about why am I not getting it? I talked about this before. Feeling the sensations. I have friends who are like, I've been feeling these sensations and feeling these sensations, and they're still here. They just still keep on coming. And there's an ego way of feeling sensations too, and that's feeling sensation with an intent. Okay, with an intent to get rid of it, with an intent to move through it, even with the intent to heal. Because what's really being asked is to see the cause, to recognize the cause. When we can recognize the cause, then the effect isn't going to have any power. And in that moment that it's recognized that the effect has no power, that's the miracle. The mind is at ease, and the projections and perceptions can take care of themselves. Because the perceptions and projections are only an effect of what's gone before in the mind. Let the mind be at ease now, and you're guaranteed that what goes forward is beautiful. Isn't that great? It's the ultimate protection. Okay, you could say protection. It's the only real protection. Because remember, illusions can't affect illusions. Illusions are projected from the unconscious mind. Okay? It's kind of like simple math here. Like a mind that's at ease is going to be manifesting a beautiful world. It's just easy. It's just simple like that. It's going to be manifesting lovely relationships. But a mind that's chasing thoughts that feel like worry, fear, scarcity is basically asking for more of the same. It's saying, God, it's my will that I have more of this. Of course, you're speaking to the God of ego, because the God of love doesn't know that. Doesn't know that way. You can ask God for illusions all day long. That's not even, it's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. Ask for more money, ask for better health, ask for all this other stuff. That's going nowhere. That's going ego. It's ego stuff. But when there's a willingness to see what's making it seem like there's some kind of problem, like something's not enough, or something sucks, then you can just expect the effects to take care of themselves. It's a no-brainer. If the mind's healed, then it's not going to be manifesting suffering. Simple as that. Okay? All right, so unless anyone else would like to talk with me, I'm going to be wrapping it up. Going to do some fireworks with my lovely family right outside here. Oh, yay, Canoe. Canoe, I need a microphone, though. I don't see a microphone for you. I see your hand. Maybe you'd like to write me something. Or you could just come over. You're close by. I love you. Thank you, everyone. And if you like essential oils, please check out Miracle Botanicals. It's so awesome. Our line, and we love it. And we think anyone who enjoys essential oils will love it too. So, hooray! MiracleBotanicals.com. Join me here every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Hawaii time. That's usually 6 p.m. Well, half of the year 6 p.m. Pacific. I love you. Aloha and a hui ho.